Hello again, everyone. It's William here with another informational video for our guests. Actually, not just for our guests, it's for pretty much anybody who's planning a trip down here to Costa Rica. And this has to do with the advanced planning for your tours and activities. Now, it seems strange to me that more people don't go ahead and make these arrangements in advance because they book their flights, obviously, in advance, because you have to. Their accommodations, even their transportation. All of these things, people seem to have no issue with making the arrangements before they actually leave for their vacation. However, in a lot of cases, people insist on waiting until they're here before they start to make their plans for their tours and activities. And this can be really problematic. And I'm going to give you a real-life story about a family that stayed in one of our higher-end properties that will explain just one of the reasons why that maybe isn't such a good idea. So there's this very enterprising 16-year-old who just desperately wanted to go to Costa Rica. And his grandparents told him, said, look, we'll take the whole family, your mom and dad, brothers and sisters, and we'll all go down there and find it. But the key is, we don't have the time to arrange all of this stuff. Everybody's really busy. So if you'll plan it, we'll pay for it. And so he did. He got all the flights booked, he got the transport, the accommodation, everything. And we told him, we said, look, you're a larger group. You're going to want to go ahead and make your arrangements before you get down here, just so that you're not disappointed. And unfortunately, he didn't do that. We checked them into the property where they stayed, and they had a great time. They had a fantastic time. But they always waited until the evening of before to call us and say, "Hey, we've decided we want to do this tomorrow. Can you set it up for us?" And we told them repeatedly that this may backfire. This last-minute booking stuff is just not the best idea. And but fortunately, we were able to get everything arranged for them with a lot of last-minute scrambling, and it was very stressful for everybody involved. But the point is that this kid had saved ziplining and SkyTrek for last. That was the thing that he really, really just wanted to do, and there's so much footage of that available online. There's lots of videos for it on YouTube, and it really is just a truly tremendous ziplining experience. It's just incredible. 660 feet high, tremendous views of Lake Arenal from the mountains and so on. It's just really awe-inspiring. And so, just as he had been doing the whole time, he called us the day before and said, "Yeah, we want to go and do the Sky Combo for tomorrow." And we couldn't be done. And we have some influence with SkyTrek, actually a fair amount. And we're normally, if we push really hard, we can get them to find more guides and even add another start time for us, or do private groups for us if need be. But they were just jammed that day, and they were just like, "We're very sorry, Don William, we can't do it." And so, I don't want to say that the kid was devastated. That might be overstating it a little bit, but he was certainly very, very disappointed. And they did end up going to another ziplining operation, but there isn't anything else around that can compare with Sky. And so that's one reason right there. Is just that people kind of think that because Costa Rica's, and La Fortuna in particular, is not some huge thriving metropolis, that it's just sort of laid back and easygoing and so on. But what they don't really understand is that this is also the adventure capital of the entire country. And so there's a lot of demand here, and these tours book up, and sometimes they book up like days, if not weeks in advance. So that's one reason. There are a few other reasons here. I just made myself some quick notes. I think probably the most, after the issue of not being able to do what you want to do, the next largest reason why you don't want to do it is because you don't want to waste your time. You've got, let's say that you work 50 weeks out of the year so that you can have 2 weeks off. So that means that 1 week of vacation is equal to 25 weeks of work, or 1 minute of vacation is worth 25 minutes of non-vacation. So why would you want to spend those precious, rare vacation minutes doing planning and having discussions and arguing even? I don't know what the dynamics are in your family groups, but to actually consume your vacation time when you should be vacationing to do planning just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. There's a couple of other things that you might not know about, which you also want to take into consideration. And one is that, these places are busy and they do book up and so on. But Costa Ricans like to go home at the end of the day. They don't like to, you don't find people putting in the extra time here so much. It's not the crazy work culture that there is in North America and in Europe. So offices close a lot earlier. Even reservation offices close a lot earlier than a lot of visitors from out of the country might expect. So if you call us at 7 p.m. and say, hey, can you check availability for our group and see if you can get us onto this horseback tour for tomorrow morning at 8, it may not be physically possible. We may not be able to actually talk to anybody and even find out whether or not they have availability in the morning. And then this is not really so much of an issue either, but it does happen, and so I kind of feel like I have to tell you about it, even though I know I'm apologizing in advance because it's going to sound selfish, but we came down to Costa Rica because we didn't want to have a crazy, hectic, rushed, and stressful lifestyle. So we pretty much usually stop working at around 4 or 5 o'clock. So there's a very real possibility that if you're, try to reach us at 7 to get something booked for the next day, you may not be able to reach us. And so that then is going to leave you scrambling, running around, trying to figure out what you're going to do for the next day. And if you wait until the morning, a lot of these tours start quite early. Some of them as early as 5:30. So we have this idea coming from North America and from Europe that you can just pick up the phone and leave a message or make your arrangements that way or something. The last minute is no problem. But I just want to give you a heads up that that's just not the way that things work here. We are usually able, if we really have to push and try to make something happen for our guests. But there are those times, and plenty of those times, when guests have had to settle for maybe not the best option of what they wanted to do, like one of the less impressive ziplining options, like I mentioned with the 16-year-old. So really, it's vastly more in your interest to give some thought to what you want to do while you're down here, and let us get that all lined up for you before you leave. And that actually, there's a point there as well that I almost forgot, which is that we know where everything's located in relation to everything else. So let's say, so if you just give us a list and say, we're interested in doing these things. We want to do the horseback riding up the river valley to the waterfall. We want to do the zip lining. We want to do some canyoning. We want to do a river float. We want to go to the animal rescue center. We want to do the chocolate tour. And we want to do Caño Negro. And we've got 4 days. We can look at that list and say, well, some of these things you can fit together and do 2 of them in one day. And others you can't, because it's just geographically impossible to get from one to the other in time. Another story that just happened. When was that? I don't remember exactly when it was, but it was literally within the last few days. We had this group, and they booked their ziplining combo. So that's the Skytrek, Skywalk, and they've got their own hanging bridges. So they went out and they did their hanging bridges at Skytrek, and then took the gondola up and did the ziplining down. And they finished at around, and they were told that they would finish at around noon or shortly after noon. And so they booked themselves to go to the Seized Animal Rescue Center for the 1 o'clock afternoon tour. And there was simply no way that they were going to be able to get all their stuff out of their lockers and get their, just leaving the ziplining tour takes you 20 minutes. It's just the process of giving the harnesses and the gear back and getting all your stuff out of your lockers and using the bathroom and so on. So by the time they got into their vehicle to start driving to Assis, they were already half an hour late. And so obviously by the time they hit La Fortuna, they were just like, man, it's already after 1 o'clock and Assis is still 25 minutes away. So, and if they had told us what they wanted to do, we would have been able to tell them that and suggest that maybe they switch the order of the tours that they wanted to do to prevent that disappointment. So that's another thing as well. Just give us the opportunity to give you the benefit of our local knowledge, and that'll help to make your time here a lot smoother and a lot more enjoyable. And finally, let me see here. Oh, yes. Oh, and also another thing that literally just happened for some folks that checked out of the Riverbank 1. We're actually in Riverbank 2 here today for this little film. But they had booked a package tour with a company. It was an agency, just travel agency, and it included a hot springs. Well, the hot springs that was in that package is Ecotermales, which is a lovely place. but it's really not designed for kids at all. It's designed for romance, it's designed for couples. There's no water slides, there's no attractions for kids and so on. And so, but they weren't able to switch. It's not like they could get a partial refund for that part of their package and then use it towards something else. We would have been able to tell them, look, probably better off looking at Baldi or Los Lagos, or even one of the local best kept secrets that those of us who live here are in the know about, that cost substantially less money, as low as $8 or $12 or $14 a person, as opposed to 50 or 60 or 70. So anyways, that's another point. And then finally, this issue, this is just sort of a quick addendum, came up about combo tours. We get asked about combo tours all the time. And on the short answer is we don't like them. On the surface, they seem like a great value because they'll give you some. Edison, what's the most popular combo tour?
It's
that you know?
Include the hanging bridges,
waterfall,
volcano hike,
and a hot spring. But the volcano hike is just a self-guided hike, or
yeah, but there's a lot of hikes for one day.
Yeah, exactly. So you're starting way early in the morning. You're covering a lot of ground. There are other ones that include, some zip lines, but they're not awe-inspiring zip lines like Skytrek. They're little sort of more backyard operations that don't, and this is critical, they don't have the same dedication to safety. One accident is all it takes to ruin your vacation. But just generally speaking, overall, when you try to take a whole bunch of things and cram them into one day, you end up with the crappy versions of each one of those things. So instead of having a magnificent hot springs experience, you have kind of, it's the free one, right, that most of them do? Go to the free one?
The hot springs?
Yeah.
Or depend.
Or Los Dorados, yeah. So, there are different options, but again, the idea is that they're just, they're trying to cram in as much as possible and get as much cash out of you as they can for that last day that you have in town. So our suggestion is just avoid the combo tours. If you didn't have enough time to do everything that you want, well then just plan another trip, come back, we'll be very happy to host you again. But maybe just pick the one or two things that you really, really want to do, and do the best versions of those things so that you have some real just wonderful, like wow factor memories of your last day in town. All right, so that's pretty much it. I don't want this thing to drag on too long. If you have questions, feel free to get in touch. Thanks again, and we hope to host you soon. Bye-bye.